Hello and welcome, long time no see. Yes, I'm back with the LFS Report for Cityliga Season 23. Let's get right into it with the first combo this season, where we took the TBOs on Aston Sprint to reverse an interesting open config. In Grid 2, we see RDSR Frankie on pole after the one-shot qualifying, followed by Joker and Frankie's teammate Nismo. And here they go, the 24 Grid 2 drivers into their first race over 15 laps. And of course we already see that the RB4 got a way better start than the XRT or FXO thanks to its four-wheel drive. Now through the first chicane, Frankie with a little bit of cutting. And in the back of the field, Papa X and the newcomer Paris got a little accident out of the chicane. Both RDSR drivers already with a small gap to the next cars. And now they go back onto the straight. And on the straight it got quite interesting, since this is a good opportunity to get close to someone and attack them into the hairpin at the end of the straight, as we will also see. Klaus Adam was leading the group following the leading RDSR duo, but in lap 10 Blackie used the slipstream over the start-finish straight and attacked successfully into turn 1. Klaus Adam lost quite some momentum due to his off-road performance, so Joker behind him also passed him later. Mensafest was able to get close as well and attacked him only one lap later into the hairpin. Unlucky for Klaus Adam, the small contact they had was enough to turn him around, and he thereby lost more than one position. Behind them, there was the fight between Daniel and Esco, another newcomer. On the long straight, Esco tried to switch back, but Daniel kept the close line, and the small contact was enough to kick Daniel out of control. Very unlucky. Only one lap later, there was a three-way fight for position 12 between Papa X, Salo and Paris into the hairpins. Paris went for the inside, switching Papa X between him and Salo on the outside. Papa X managed to keep ahead, but Salo then pushing him wide into the second hairpin, which gave Paris the inside line. And in the end, Papa X managed to keep ahead, and Paris gained the position against Salo. Well, the fight between Paris and Salo went on until the last lap. Paris dive-bombed Salo into the last turn to gain the position, but he was penalized for this unfair maneuver afterwards. But also Salo got even a ban for the next race, since he incited Paris quite heavily after the race. Not very sportsmanlike. RDSR with a comforting P1 and 2 in the end, followed by Blackie and Joker. For the second race, we got a starting grid as they finished the first race. And here they go into their second race over 30 laps this time. For the second race, they had to do a 5-second mandatory pit stop, which brought in a small tactical component. This time the first chicane went a little bit smoother, and the whole field sticked closer together. The closer field was maybe the cause for some heavy accidents we saw into the first and second hairpin. First Cape Adam, another newcomer, turned solo, breaking into the first hairpin. And in the second hairpin, Tinkler turned Papa X, and both were penalized after the race for this incident. The hard braking into the hairpins tempted the drivers to use their engine brakes maybe over the limit, like at this scene where Cape Adam was fighting against Tex. You hear and see that he went way over the rev limiter and thereby getting nearly a whole % of engine damage, but he wasn't the only one during this race. Frankie in the lead got a quite comforting gap to his teammate on second, but as he went for his mandatory pit stop in lap 32, he made the mistake crossing the pit exit line, and consequently getting a drive-through penalty. But the gap was big enough. 1 lap later, Nismo came for his pit stop, and we see Frankie behind him entering the pit lane to serve his penalty. And Nismo's pit stop was long enough, so Frankie took back the lead from his teammate despite his penalty. A little bit of bad luck for Dietmar at the end of the race. Mikpa closed up and nearly turned him out of the second hairpin. Both lost quite some momentum, and Mikpa was able to pass Dietmar. Towards the last turn, Daniel saw his chance and went for an aggressive attack on the inside for the last turn, which gained him the position against Dietmar. Similar to the first race, RDSR with a dominating performance, again on position 1 and 2, this time followed by Mensafest and the two extreme racing drivers Blackie and Halle. In grid 1 we saw reigning champion Winkler on pole, followed by Kubinci and Piet, and here they go into the first chicane. The first chicane went quite smooth, chippy with a little bit of off-road, but still fine. Going on the straight, the top 4 were really close together. Going into the hairpin, Kubinci tried to get the inside line, and Pete went a little bit wide, and in the back of the field there's also quite some trouble. We are on board with the FXO of Kovac behind Pete and Fieseler, and it's getting really close through the hairpins. Also Dennis in his XRT was lurking behind them, and in the end Pete was able to get past Fieseler together with Kovac. In the back of the field we saw a slightly cocky attack by J.A. Katila against Shippy into the last turn, which went horribly wrong, and both lost quite some positions. TCR Sam got really good performance in the first race. In lap 9 he went for a minor dive bomb against Dennis, and thereby managed to get position 6 in a really close and nice fight through the hairpins against Dennis. Towards the end of the race, Pete seemed to have some problems with his pace. In the last lap, Kovac closed up on him and went for an attack into the first hairpin on the outside. He forced Pete to brake really late, which gave him the perfect opportunity for a switchback that he executed nice and clean, and this way gaining the last position on the podium. Shippy also with a last chance of a position gain in the last lap. Martin with the mistake out of the last turn, but Shippy's FXO got the least top speed on the straights, and so he wasn't able to catch Marty in his XRT. Winkler started this season as he finished the last one with a victory. On second, Kubinji, followed by Kovac and Pete. For the second race, we see nearly only RB4s at the front, with Kovac in his FXO as an exception, and he got really roughed up at the start with all this all-wheel driven power around him. Going into chicane, in the first chicane, Kovac felt already back behind Dennis, and out of the chicane he nearly got turned by Shaka, very unlucky. Onto the straight, Kubinji managed to get past Winkler, but Winkler immediately looking for the draft of Kubinji while Pete was lurking behind him. Pete braked dangerously late for the first hairpin and nearly wrecked Kubinji and Winkler in front of him. They both seemed quite surprised by this and let him through. Unlike in Grid 2, in Grid 1, quite a couple of drivers tried to use the tactical component of an early pit stop in the race, like these 5 drivers here already at the end of the first lap. Unfortunately, Sam couldn't continue his great performance of race 1. In lap 8, Kubinji closed up on him and had an easy time passing him very clean into the first hairpin on the inside. One lap later, Winkler managed to close up on Pete in the lead. Winkler went for the outside for the first hairpin, and they went through side by side, and this way Winkler got the better inside line for the second hairpin, and he reclaimed the lead. The backdrop of Sam continued in lap 28. Kovac fought his way back to the front, and thanks to a mistake out of the first chicane by Sam, he attacked him on the inside for turn 2 and passed him for position 5. And the bad luck for Sam didn't stop. Here we are in the last lap, and you see he is only coasting onto the hairpins. He miscalculated his fuel consumption, like a couple of other drivers did as well in this race, and desperately tried to save some fuel to finish the race. In the end, he's really unlucky, since he went dry only 400 meters to the finish line, but still got passed by Botzi on the last 20 meters. Very, very close. Winkler in the end with his second victory, followed by Pete and Kobinji. After the bad start, Kovac at least on 4th, followed by Moma, Bozzi and the unlucky Sam. Alright, after the first round, nothing really surprising in the rankings since it's basically the result of the 2 races. In the team rankings, we see TC Racing 1 in the lead, followed by Heroes of Racing and Extreme Racing, but take this with a grain of salt since at the moment of the recording the team table hasn't been updated yet. Alright, this was the LFS report of the first round in Cityliga 23. It still feels a little bit rusty, to be honest, but I hope you liked it anyway. Feel free to leave a comment or give the video a thumbs up. Until next time with the GT2s, bye!